Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jay and I have something really useful for you today. If you are a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, or an uncle, or if you have a busy schedule, if you're somebody who reads the ingredient labels on things at the store, if you're a homemaker and you're trying to cut down on the things that you buy at the grocery store, if you're on a budget, I'm pretty sure I covered just about everybody on this planet, then this video is for you because this is so useful. Basically what we're doing today, we're going through and we are making pre-mixed baking mixes. So when you go to the store and you buy a bag of sugar cookie mix, or if you buy a bag of muffin mix and you just add like egg and water or whatever and you bake it, we're gonna go ahead and make those. And today we are doing muffins, pancakes, cornbread, cookies, and brownies. And then at the end of this video, I have another mix for you. It's not a baked good, but it's just a little bonus recipe for you. So stick around to the end of this video because that one's really good as well. So what I have here is a little Goodwill haul for you today. I had to run to the store. There was one ingredient I was missing for this today. And while I was out, I was like, well, I'm gonna go to Goodwill and see if I can find some really great containers for this because I'm still collecting my glass containers. I know there are several of you watching who have a plethora of them. I'm still collecting them. So I went to Goodwill today and I got all of this for $30. It was so exciting. I hit the jackpot. So I want to go through it really quick. I always buy these. I love these. I've got a bunch of them at this point, but I don't have very many this size. And I think they are wonderful. Really like them. So I got 3 of those. This one had a chalk label already on it, which I don't love. But these are always $2.99 or $3.99 at Goodwill. And this one was 99 cents because I'm assuming because of the label. And it is functional. And so I don't care. 99 cents, I'm getting it. And then I got these 3 babies. Mind you, all of these are glass. These match and they have the lids and everything. This one's a gallon. These 2 are half gallons. I thought that was awesome. I already took the stickers off of them and ran them through a high heat cycle in my dishwasher, so I can't remember exactly what they all were. I got this guy, and then here's the label. Let me see if I can get it to where you can see the label. And it says made in Italy. So, I don't know. I think it's nice. I love how big it is, and I really like that. I have a lot of them that do that. The only thing that I don't like about this, I tested it before I hit record. I've got my 1 cup measure that we're gonna be using the heck out of today, and it doesn't fit. And it definitely fits in this one. So that was a bit of a bummer, but it's really not that big of a deal. I'll definitely still use it. And I think my half cup fits in there. Yep, so it's fine. It's not really that big of a deal. I wish it was a little bit wider, but that's okay. I just think it's so pretty. And then look at this one, you guys. This one also says France. It says Arc France. And it's so pretty. Oh, I love it. Yep, made in France. It says it right there. And I love the design. And I was standing there looking at it in Goodwill and I was like, what am I gonna put in you? Because I want you, but how am I gonna use you? And I think, oh, it's got words in French on it. I wonder what it says. I think I'm gonna use it next year when I have my big herb garden that you guys have heard me talk about. I think I'm going to put together a homegrown, home-dried Italian seasoning mixture, and I'll keep it in here like a big jar of it. I think that'll be a really cute way because it's got tomatoes and onions and peppers, and an Italian mix makes me think of like a red sauce, so Italian seasoning mix. So that's what I'll do that with. And then over here, they had them in a big plastic bag marked $2.99. I got all of these jars. So for $2.99, I got 3 pints and 3 half pints. Remember what I told you in my that one Goodwill haul where I talked about buying mason jars? You want to make sure that you're getting jars for, what was it, 71 cents, I think? A jar is a good deal, worth thrifting. And these were obviously way less than that. So that was a pretty good deal. Everything's clean. Everything's been ran through my dishwasher. So let's get started on putting together our mixes. We are going to start with the one that I'm the most excited about, and that is the homemade muffin mix. Because I really love muffins. I love that you can have muffins be a breakfast thing, a dessert thing. You can make them healthy, you can make them not so healthy. I love that they're so versatile. So I'm going to use, I think, I think I'm gonna use this one for the muffin mix. I'm gonna grab my ingredients and set them over here. Now the only downside to doing this, especially on the scale that I'm doing it today, because I'm putting together a lot of pre-made mixes today, is that you're gonna go through a ton of ingredients. I bought this bag of Bob's Red Mill flour. I wanted my ingredients for this to be as good as I could afford, just to give me one more reason why this is such a good idea. If you can make your own with quality ingredients, that gives you a leg up on the ones that you can buy at the store. However, this first recipe, the first 1 out of 5, takes 8 cups of flour. So I'm about to deplete my flour stock, I think. I don't know if this first bag is even gonna get me through 2 recipes, but we'll do what we can. So into my glass jar, and this one is the gallon-sized one, I'm going to put 8 cups of all-purpose flour. And I'm gonna focus because I don't wanna lose count. So there is 8 cups of flour, and then I'm also going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar, 3 tablespoons of baking powder, and 3 teaspoons of salt. Really the only salt I have right now is coarse sea salt, so guess what? That's what I'm using. Probably not ideal, but it is what it is. I have to pull out my giant industrial-sized whisk for this one, and you know, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking I probably should mix these in a bowl and then transfer them to the container, because this is going to be kind of a pain to like really nice and accurately mix together, but here we are. All right, that's good. And then, you know, I've got the lid here, so I can always just do this number and get it like really nice and combined, because you definitely want this to be well combined, because you're going to be taking out of this and adding your wet ingredients. So your dry ingredients for your muffins are all mixed together, so you don't want, you know, one serving to have more baking powder than another serving. So you want it to be nice and well combined. And I actually think that that looks great. So we're gonna do that, and then, so the amount of dry ingredients that we have in here will make 4 dozen muffins. So basically you have 4 servings in here. So if you wanted to make a batch of muffins, you would need 2 cups of this particular muffin mix. And so here I'm gonna write on a sheet of paper, if you were to make 1 batch of muffins, you'd need 2 cups of the muffin mix, 2 eggs, 4 tablespoons of melted butter, 3/4 a cup of milk. And I don't think that for this one I need to write down the directions, because this one is just that you mix all the wet ingredients together in a bowl and then you add your 2 cups of muffin mix to it. And I think that that's pretty standard, run of the mill, so I don't feel the need to write that down. So basically, this is what I've got. Let's see if you can see that. The ingredients needed to actually make the muffins. By the way, isn't it so nice to actually write things? Because when I was planning this video, I thought about maybe typing everything up so that it looked really nice, but then I was like, no, I really enjoy writing things. I feel like it's a lot more romantic than having something typed out. But that's just me. If you want to type out your instructions, that's completely your prerogative, and that's totally fine. All right, and then the last step is to set your paper on the container that you're keeping it in and tape it on there. And I'm really excited about having muffin mix made and ready to go, and all I have to do is add the wet ingredients. I don't have to get out my flour, I don't have to get out my sugar, I don't have to worry about if I have enough baking powder. It's all set and ready to go. It's gonna save me time, and I've got everything ready to go right here. That's awesome. Oh, I'm really excited about this. Okay, I'm gonna clean up my space here a little bit, because some of these things that I have up here we're not using today. I just wanted to show them to you. So I'm gonna clean up a little bit, and then we're gonna move on to the next one. All right, you guys, next up, we are going to move on to cookie dough. Now, this is the same cookie dough recipe that I put in a separate video when I went over how to make cookies 4 different ways. Those were really delicious recipes, but the whole point of that video was that I started with a basic cookie dough, and I added different things to make different kinds of cookies. I added some peanut butter to make peanut butter cookies. I added cocoa, unsweetened cocoa, and marshmallows to make kind of like hot chocolate s'more-ish cookies. And so you can do that with this. This is the dry mix for just that basic cookie dough base. And then to that, you can make these cookies whatever you want to be. Just like with the muffins, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the same thing. You can add chocolate chips to those to make chocolate chip muffins. You can add mashed banana. You could add zucchini. You could add whatever you wanted to those muffins to make them whatever you want them to be. And that's true for these cookies as well. So I am going to use this big jar here, and I'm going to use the half cup since the 1 cup doesn't fit in there. And we need 6 cups of flour, which means I have to do 12 half cups. So I'm going to go ahead and do that so that I can count. All right, I've got 6 cups of all-purpose flour, and next I'm going to do 2 cups of white granulated sugar. And then I need 3 cups of brown sugar. I'm going to use light brown sugar. You could use dark brown sugar, but for this, I think this time I'm going to use light brown sugar. Next, you want to add 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. This is a really useful project to do around the holidays because if you suddenly need to bring a dessert to a Friendsgiving, just as an example, or if somebody's having an ugly sweater Christmas party and asks you to bring a dessert, you've got cookie mix ready to go, or we're gonna do a brownie mix, you'll have that ready to go. Or if you're really busy because, hello, it's the holidays and you're trying to do a million things, but breakfast still needs to get on the table, you've got the makings to throw together muffins in just a second. So it's just really useful to have in your pantry, you know, for a lot of different reasons. Next, you want to add 4 teaspoons of baking soda and 4 teaspoons of salt. Now, I just want to point out that because I'm adding salt to my mix, you want unsalted butter when you are making, you know, the actual product. So if you don't often have unsalted butter, then omit the salt. Don't put the salt in if you often only have salted butter. I know a lot of people only have salted butter. If you add salt to this, you can't take it out. And if you only have salted butter, you're gonna have a very salty baked good. So keep that in mind if you're making these for yourself or if you're making them as gifts, because I haven't mentioned that yet, but you can also make these in smaller quantities and give them as gifts or as big quantities. You could give this to somebody who's expecting a baby or, you know, somebody who's ill or I don't know. But a lot of people only have salted butter and often don't buy unsalted butter. So I suggest omitting the salt if you're going to give it as a gift, just so you're not limiting yourself or the people that you're giving them to. I'm going to go ahead and add it. If you notice, I'm not writing salt on the ingredient list like with the muffins. I didn't put salt on the list of things to add to that because it's already in there. And I often have unsalted butter. I purposely always buy both so that I have them both. So let me go ahead. I'll give this a stir with the whisk since the brown sugar's in here. It'll help break it up a little bit before I start shaking it. Try to get all those big brown sugar clumps out so that it all mixes together really evenly. All right, awesome. Oh, this is so exciting. This is so much fun and so useful. I was looking for the tape and I noticed that I left it in the shot. Isn't that cute? My giant industrial tape dispenser. Cute. Normally I keep all things ugly out of view of the camera, but it's what happens when you wait until the evening to shoot and you're trying to get things done because you're hangry and you have to start dinner. So, for your basic cookie dough mix, this amount that we made makes 4 dozen cookies. So there's 4 servings in here with the measurements that I gave you. So you want, if you're going to make a dozen, you want 3½ cups of the cookie mix, 2 eggs, 3 1/4 cups unsalted butter at room temperature, 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And then on this one, I did include the instructions because they're a little bit more involved. You combine your dry ingredients, which I don't know why I wrote that. They're here. We combined them. And then you cream together the butter and the sugar until it's light and fluffy. You add in the egg and the vanilla. You turn your mixer on low and you gradually add in your dry ingredients until everything is nice and combined. Oh, and I'm just realizing that I didn't put oven Words are hard today. I didn't put oven temperatures on this one or the muffin one. For the cookie mix, I'm gonna do 350. So I've got my basic cookie mix, I've got 350 on here, and then for the muffin one, I think well, if you've heard me talk about muffins in the past, I have a trick where I bake them at a higher temperature for a few minutes and then I drop the temperature without opening the door and it helps them get really tall. So I think I'm probably gonna do, I think I'll start at 400 and then drop it down to 375. That's what I'm gonna do. 400 and then down to 375. I just wrote it on there with a Sharpie because I've already got tape on it, so hopefully that stays. We'll find out. All right, so we've got cookie mix and muffin mix. Let's move on to the next one. All right, next up, let's do the pancake mix. It takes 6 cups of all-purpose flour. I finally ran out of that bag of flour, so I had to break out my usual flour, my normal quality flour. Next, you're going to add 1/3 a cup of granulated sugar, 3 tablespoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, and then I'm just going to add in a sprinkle of salt. Now this makes 7 cups of pancake mix, and to make 1 batch of 6 pancakes, you need 1 cup of this. So that's quite a bit of pancake servings in just this one go. So that's really, really useful. And instead of going to the store and buying the pre-made Bisquick mix, in literally less than 60 seconds, we basically just put together our own Bisquick mix with ingredients that you're able to control. Granted, I used just regular standard store-bought quality flour for that one, but you know, you could use all organic, you could use fancy sugar, you could do literally whatever you want. And that's what's so great about making your own, you know, grocery store items, is that you control them. That's part of what makes it so awesome. Now, I'm not going to write instructions on here because I've made pancakes many a times in my life, but you want 1 cup of pancake mix, 1 egg, and 3/4 cup of milk or 1 cup of buttermilk. I always use buttermilk in my pancakes if I have it. If you are going to use milk instead of buttermilk, I recommend adding a splash of lemon juice because buttermilk neutralizes the flavor of the baking powder. And if you don't have that, the lemon juice will help do that for you so that you can't really taste that in there. So now we've got our pancake mix ready to go. Next up, we are actually going to do a cornbread mix. And for this one, we want, I don't think I have enough. I need 4 cups of cornmeal, and I definitely don't. So we're gonna have to cut this one in half, but that's okay. We need 2 cups of cornmeal. Of course, you can adjust these measurements though for however many servings. That's why I've been specific to point out the servings, because this is just the measurements that I was kind of going with, but you can do whatever measurements you want or need based on, you know, your family size and the ingredients that you have on hand. Look, technically I don't even really have 2 cups, but we're gonna go with it. I'll just compensate with a little extra flour. So 2 cups of cornmeal going in, and 2 cups plus a little extra for me of all-purpose flour. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of baking powder and a teaspoon of salt. Now, one of the reasons I like this recipe in terms of serving size is that the amount of cups correspond to the amount of servings. So I was originally going to be doing 4 servings, and when I say servings, I mean 1 serving is a pan of cornbread. So here I've got 2 pans of cornbread worth of dry mix, which is still pretty cool to have on hand. I wish I had 4, but that's okay. I should have known I didn't have that much cornmeal left with the amount of homemade pizzas I make. This will be super convenient if I'm trying to throw together a batch of chili on a weeknight and I want cornbread to go with the chili. The dry mixes are already together and you just scoop them out and add your wet ingredients. Now for the cornbread, for 1 serving, you need 2 cups of the dry mix, 1 cup of buttermilk, 1 egg, 4 tablespoons or half a stick of butter that you've melted but let cool, and then 1/4 a cup of honey. The 1/4 a cup of honey is really more to your taste. If you want it sweeter, you can add more. If you want it less sweet, you can add less. I always add honey to my cornbread, even if I'm making a savory one, because it just adds such a depth of flavor. I'm not going to write any instructions on here because I've made cornbread so many times I don't need them, but I'll tell you quickly, if you're making cornbread in a skillet, a cast iron skillet, you want to put a little butter or bacon grease. If you have bacon grease, use bacon grease. In the bottom of your skillet, set it into your preheated oven, let it warm up, let that bacon grease or butter melt, and then when you take it out, kind of move it around, get it nice and coated all around the sides and the bottom. It's going to be hot, so be careful. Pour your dry mix along with your wet ingredients in a bowl, get it all nice and mixed together, and then pour it into your hot greased skillet and put it right into the oven. And this one is 400 degrees. And again, I don't know why I'm like forgetting to write these today, but this one I can write it. It is almost 5 o'clock. It's starting to get dark and my chickie girls are free ranging, so I'm gonna go wrangle them up and put them inside their run. I'll be right back. All right, you guys, the last one that we're doing, except for the little surprise bonus one at the end, is a homemade brownie mix. And this one I'm actually gonna put into a Ziploc bag because I just wanna point out that you can do it that way as well. I like the idea of having the big glass containers and having the instructions on the front. I think that that's really cute and romantic, and I'm gonna like how it looks on my shelves. But you can absolutely also put them in just a Ziploc bag. And for this, I'm actually gonna do single servings that way. So one pan of brownies is going to be stored in the dry ingredients in one of these bags. So the very first ingredient is 2/3 cup all-purpose flour. And I'm gonna put that right into my Ziploc bag. You may have noticed that, I'll show you on this one, if you want to protect the little teeth and not get crud stuck in them, you just fold the bag over. I like to do it twice just to be sure. And that way it stays nice and propped open and you don't have to worry about getting the teeth of the bag dirty. So that's what I've done here. So 2/3 cup all-purpose flour, and we're done with the flour so I can move it out of my way. 1 cup plus 1/4 cup granulated sugar. And then you want 1/2 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. This was the ingredient that I decided to get fancy on because, again, like I said, you can control your ingredients. You can do organic, you can substitute if you have food allergies, you can do whatever you need to do when you're making your own baking mixes. And I decided I wanted to splurge and get a really nice cocoa to put in my brownies. And so I ended up with this one. Let me show you. This is the cocoa that I got. Hope you can see that okay. And for baking and for drinking, and they did the red Dutch process for this cocoa powder, which I don't know exactly what that means, but it was the only one there that said that, so I guess that's cool. Probably should have researched that a little bit before I brought it up, but here we are. And you want 1/2 cup of unsweetened cocoa. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's beautiful. Let's see if I can very carefully show you. Oh, that's so pretty. What a pretty cocoa powder. This one I'm gonna spoon into my 1/2 cup measuring cup because it definitely won't fit in there. It really is red, like it's a red color, and that's what it says. It says red Dutch process cocoa powder, and I don't think the camera's really gonna do it justice, but it really is red. I mean, the color is red. It's beautiful. I hope it tastes as good as it looks. And then you can add chocolate chips in here, but I do not prefer chocolate chips in my brownies, so I'm not going to. But that's all she wrote in terms of the dry mix for brownies. I'm gonna leave a little bit of air in the bag just to make it easier to mix these. And now that it's nice and mixed together, I can open it and very carefully get that air out. Beautiful. And then I'm going to flatten it out. And then with my Sharpie, I'm gonna write brownie mix, and you wanna add 8 tablespoons of butter melted, 2 eggs, and then of course vanilla extract. I don't ever write that because I just kind of measure it with my heart. Same with the, what was the last one? Same with the pancakes. I just add vanilla and measure it with my heart. This one, you're preheating the oven to 350. And I don't have to write any instructions for this one because you're just adding the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients. So yeah, now I have a homemade brownie mix. And I was able to add really good quality cocoa to it, just like you could add really good quality ingredients to yours. And you can customize it. Like I said, you can add chocolate chips, you can add walnuts, you can add whatever you want in here to make the brownies how you like them. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up another one of these really quick. I think I want to have 2 of these on hand. That should be good for a while. I don't make brownies all that often, but it is really great to have them on hand. I actually whipped up a batch of brownies recently for a friend of mine as a thank you. She did something nice for me. And that day, I was like, oh, I need to make brownies right now. And I whipped together brownies really fast. It would have been really useful that day to have the dry mix already put together instead of trying to make scratch brownies before I hurry and leave the house. All right, you guys, and now for that bonus recipe, we have a homemade hot cocoa mix, and I've been really looking forward to making this. It is an excellent Christmas gift idea. In fact, it was what I was originally going to do this year. If you recall, I did make a video teaching you how to make your own homemade mint extract, and I was showing you that with the idea of pairing it with homemade hot cocoa mix to give as Christmas gifts, and that's a great idea, but I ended up having so much canned goods that I think people would really enjoy that I'm just going to give those as gifts instead. But this is an excellent Christmas gift idea. So, and it's only a few ingredients. I have instant dry milk. Unfortunately, I could only find the Carnation brand. I really wanted to find like a really nice quality organic one. My store didn't carry anything like that, so I had to get what I could get. And I ended up with this one. So you want 3 cups of your instant dry milk. Next, you want half a cup of unsweetened cocoa, and I had this recipe in mind as well when I was purchasing my unsweetened cocoa, because obviously if you're going to drink it, you want a really good quality cocoa. And you know, the packets of hot chocolate, I'm not saying they're not good. I mean, I do drink them, but if you can put really beautiful, high quality ingredients in your own homemade hot cocoa mix, why not? It might be a little bit more expensive than it would be to buy like a Nestle box of hot cocoa packets, but you have such good quality and you can make it anytime you need it instead of, you know, being out of hot chocolate for 3 weeks and finally remembering to get it at the store. You can just make it yourself. And I think that this will probably last me through winter, I imagine. I actually don't know how many servings this one is. You want 1/4 a cup of the mix per like regular size cup of hot chocolate, like in a mug. And we've got, I can't do math. I think there's 16 servings, and that's quite a bit. So maybe not quite through winter, but the next couple months at least. I wish I knew how to make my own marshmallows, because that would be really good too, to have your own homemade marshmallows to go with your own homemade hot chocolate. And the very last ingredient that we are adding to this is half a cup of sugar. Now I have read, because as I was researching different hot chocolate recipes, I have read that it's best to find a really fine ground sugar instead of the like really chunky granulated, to get like a really fine sugar because it dissolves better in the hot chocolate. Unfortunately, I just didn't do that, and this is what I have, and so this is what I'm going to use. And you know, hopefully if my water or milk or whatever is hot enough, it will still dissolve. But if you do have a fine sugar, use that instead. Or if you really want to give this as gifts and you want it to be really, really good quality, then splurge on a good quality sugar. But for the purposes of this video and for my purposes right now, with as poor as I am using the sugar that is in my pantry. And this size container just barely cut it. It's so full that I'm having a hard time combining my ingredients. So I'm gonna mix this around for a few minutes and then come back and we will recap. I didn't show it because I was mixing it, but I did add in just a little bit of salt. I don't know, I think it would just add a great depth of flavor. And I do have a little chalk, so I'm going to write it on here. So there is our hot cocoa, and I did write 1/4 on the side just to remind myself that I need to add 1/4 cup. And I don't know if you can hear it, but I've got some water boiling on the stove. I want to make myself a cup of hot chocolate and try it out, see how it is. I'll just tell you right now that the way I make my hot chocolate is half water, half heavy cream if I have it, and it's the perfect consistency. So that's what I'm gonna do today. Okay, again, with the camera battery almost dying, I really need to get a second one. Oh, guys, that is really good. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more of the unsweetened cocoa to it, probably another 1/4 cup. It could be a little chocolatier, but that is really good. All right, super quick recap. We've got the muffin mix, the cookie dough mix, the cornbread mix, the pancake mix, brownie mix, and the hot cocoa mix. Having these items on your pantry shelf makes it so much more convenient to prepare these, and it's cheaper in some ways, and you can also control the ingredients that you're putting in. So for a homesteader, it's really a no-brainer, and I'm really excited to have these items on my pantry shelf. So you guys, if you are interested in content like this, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Be blessed. Bye. All right, so I charged my camera enough to show you where I ended up putting those mixes because I did not put them in my homesteading room, and I think the spot that I chose is actually pretty stinking cute. Let me show you. So we are in my dining room, which is actually a little messy right now. I've got some stuff on my dining room table that I've got to take care of, but over here I have this baker's rack, and I've got like extra cutting board and like plates and plastic silverware down there. Then I've got my KitchenAid mixer, my cake stand, and up top here is where I decided to put my mixes. By the way, this is that giant Pyrex measuring cup that I got from Goodwill in that Goodwill Haul video. But yeah, up here I've got all of those mixes, and I just thought it looked really cute up there. So I wanted to show you that that was where I decided to put those.